Welcome, everybody. Captain Matt, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon. Got started a little bit late today. Got a few girls that do not want to go to sleep. But here we are. Anyway. So, welcome. Let me know that you can hear me. And let me know. From what the heck is going on here? Can you hear me? So it looks like, Brock, good to have you. Good to have you. It looks like for some reason my comments are showing up. Maybe we got some folks on Facebook this time. We've got we are live. Thank you, Bert. Bert 7525. We are live on our Boat Buyer Secret Weapon Facebook page, the Captain Matt Facebook page, and the thank you, Corey. Thank you, Brock. We are live on the Captain Matt Facebook personal page. There, I don't know. I've got some help. I've got a marketing company that's helping me out do some stuff online, and they are helping me out with hey Tony, how are you? Helping me out with some stuff, and one of them is getting the social media all integrated and everything. So there's a page for Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon. There's a group for Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, and there is a page for Captain Matt as a personality or something like that. So if you want to find those, you can certainly do that. Appreciate everybody that's subscribed to the channel. We're zeroing in on 25,000 now. And which a year ago I would have never thought that was possible. So thank you all for subscribing, watching the videos, commenting, giving it a thumbs up. All that stuff really matters and is appreciated. And these lives, if you've not been to a live before, I see a couple. Brock has been here multiple times, last 3, maybe even 4 weeks from Charleston, and he bought a had a sportsman. I believe it was a sportsman on order, and then decided that they kept raising the price, pushing back his date, and he ended up finding a pre-owned one that was probably a better option for him, and seems to be very happy. So here's the way it goes: is in the comment section, just put in your question, and as I go through tonight, I'll just answer the questions to the best of my ability. If I don't know something, or I'm just giving an opinion and not really, hey, I think this is right. I'll try to let you know that I try to stay in my lane as best I can. And if there's something, I think last week we had somebody, and I was like, I don't know. He was asking this very, very specific motor question. Should I get this motor or that motor? And if I'm not the right person to answer, I'll try to send you to somebody. If I do have some thoughts on it, I will share those. And that's just the way I do it. You will have to hear about, not have to, you will get to hear about some of the programs I offer if there's some dead time, just to kind of keep it going. The First Time Boat Buyers Academy, as we're getting started. If you have any questions, just go ahead and throw them in the chat. And Boat Buyers, First Time Boat Buyer Academy, just had somebody that signed up for it yesterday. Or no, it's today. He was emailing me, and it is really getting a lot of value out of it, because what I do is I go through the 7 steps, and 7 steps to buying a boat. From what are the first things that you should think about, including budget and financing and loans and insurance, to inspecting the boats, to working with dealers, question to ask, demo. the key piece of it is negotiation, how to make sure that you're getting the absolute best price, even in today's market. And yeah, as Hux bought a Hux 2012, I think the Yamaha jet boat twin engine. I don't remember if it was the 210 AR maybe, but don't know the time. And so I'll get to your question real quick, but there's a lot of value there. So all right, let's get to the question. Brock was in first. Hux, I'll get to you next. All right, drain plug question. The plug on my Sportsman looks like fitting. Is that what's supposed to be there? My Ranger plug look completely different. If you're talking the drain plug, yeah, it's just a brass plug. I don't know if I've got one in my desk. There was a time when I had all of this stuff, but I don't think I've got easy access to it now. But it's got probably a little square end on it, and then your threads. I'm not sure what a what kind of NPT pipe fitting. I'm not sure what that is, but just a little brass plug that will screw in there. You can give it a little bit of a turn with the wrench to tighten it good, but that's what's it. On the bass boats, I'm not sure. I think bass boats use very similar plugs, but I don't know about Ranger. I've never looked at it, but let me see here real quick. Brass plug for Sportsman boat. A 1/2-inch square head. So it looks like this right here. Let's see. So that's what I would expect to see on it. Brock, so that's exactly what I would expect to see on it. I don't know what you call those threads. I just know it goes in there deep enough. You give it just a tight, I don't like to tighten them too much. They're not going to come out, but you're good to go. All right, so Hux, yes, it is. Hux bought a 2012, got a 210 AR. I thought that's what it was. Is it worth the time and effort to add a second battery to a new boat? Just don't want to know. I really like the second battery, and here's why. Is for me, the second battery allows you to spend some time on the sandbar, anchored out, listening to the music, and you can, if you got to think about this, but you put it on battery one, and you crank it up, you run out to your spot, and you run battery one. If you leave the stereo on and you run that battery dead, you just crank it over to battery two, you fire up on battery two, or both, and you're pulling them from both batteries if you have that kind of Perco switch, and you won't get stuck as often. Now, what you need to do is not just always have it on both. What happens, the way it's been explained to me, is electricity is going to go the path of least resistance, and in charging a battery, the path of least resistance is to the stronger battery, I guess. So it's going to charge that stronger battery higher. So when you're going, make sure that this is okay with the switch. Is that you'll run it on the weakest battery as you're running, and that way you're going to charge your weak battery. The best way to do it is, one time you're out, run it on battery one. Next time you're out, run it on battery two. Next time you're out, battery one, battery two, battery one, battery two. And that way you're always have, if you sit out and, you've got your depth finder on, you've got your stereo on, and you're running a bunch of juice for a long period of time, you don't get stuck. Now, if you're like, hey, we don't do that. I'm not listening to my stereo while we're at anchor. I'm not listening to my stereo while we're at the sandbar. Then you don't need to worry about it. But that's the advantage, and that's why I like that second battery, is because I am hey, we're going to anchor out, and we might hang out in the cove for 3 or 4 hours. listen to Conway Twitty and Alan Jackson and Hank Sr. And just floating in the water, and like it doesn't even dawn on me that I'm running my battery dead that whole time. But hop in the boat, crank it back over to battery 2, fire it up, or put it on both, fire it up, and then put it back on 1, so that I'm charging the low battery. So hopefully that makes sense. But do make sure you get a good switch. Do make sure it's wired properly. If you're competent to do it yourself, it's something that can be done yourself without too much issue. On that AR, I'm not going to be too concerned about the weight of putting on one side or the other. That's a pretty well balanced boat. But just make sure that you got fairly easy access to the switch, and they've got that as an option. So wherever they would mount it should be the right spot. Bert, having gone through your pontoon videos, some others, they've helped my family make a great choice on a new boat. Hey Bert, what did you get? Tell us what you got, and thank you very much for the nice words. I appreciate that for sure. And let me know what you ended up getting, if you don't mind sharing that. But yeah, there's I've got the programs, the First Time Boat Buyers Academy, the best boat captain on the water training, the best pontoon captain on the water training. There's 2 different versions. Those are incredible programs, well worth the investment in my mind, and from the hundreds of people that have invested in them as well. But hey, there's over 200 videos on the channel, so you don't have to invest in them, but I think that you get the value for sure, and it helps support the channel, which I certainly appreciate. So congratulations, Bert, on the new, I'm gonna assume pontoon, maybe tri-tune, depending on yeah, okay. So a 2022 Harris 210 with the 150 swim platform, sport tube package. So yeah, absolutely. That's a fan in my mind. The that package, a 22-foot tri-tune with the 150 is it is, in that sport tube especially, is just a great value. It is, I don't know what you paid for that boat, 50 maybe, depending on what other options. That swim platform gives you another 2 feet almost. So you've got basically a 23-foot boat that, I'm ballparking. I don't know if you got a trailer or whatever, but around 50 or so. And I think that's an incredible value for a lot of people. And Harris is a fantastic brand. It's what I used to sell. That was a boat that I kind of guided a lot of people into that were first time boaters. And I'm on a freshwater lake in the Carolinas, and that was plenty of boat. And for a lot of families that had a budget, they wanted new, they wanted the warranty. That was a package that was right for a lot of folks. Hux, you're very welcome. I know you. I don't know when you got delivery. I think it was the last week or maybe 2 weeks ago when you said that your boat arrived. But yeah, you just got to make it through. Once you get through New Year's, you're on that backward slide. I don't know where you are for sure. I don't know why I'm thinking Arizona. I don't know if that's you or not, but anyway, it is, you get through that backslide of January 1st, you get to that new year, boat shows start kicking off, and I'm in the Carolinas, so February you might have a real nice day where you're like, all right, let's do this, or March for sure. So hopefully those will come soon. Minnesota. I was way off. All right. Well, sorry about that, Hux. You gotta wait a little bit till the ice out happens up there. But still, you've got the Minneapolis Boat Show is one that I would like to get to. They do an innovation award up there where any of the new product on the manufacturers, and they do it in each category: pontoon, aluminum fishing boat, bow riders, jet boats. And so a lot of the manufacturers will really kind of put their best foot forward at that Minnesota show with that innovation award, which is kind of cool. So I the other day. It's and feel free, guys. We've got throw your um throw your questions in there, Bert. It's probably the build date is coming up. It's going to be a 2022. They start rename or going to the next model year in for Harris. I know for sure it's August. But for most brands, it's August and September. If it comes off the production line after August 1st, or no, if it goes on the production line after August 1st, it's going to come off of the 22 year. So you'll be a 22 for sure. Pam, welcome. Pam Hoback, welcome. I think you're the first viewer on Facebook. We just got the Facebooks connected and it's actually showing up there. So you're the first comment I've seen from Facebook. So welcome. And we're charting new territory here. The docking section on your Tritune training helped me a ton. Barletta 23 with the Yamaha 300. Tony, thank you. That I love to hear that. I got a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull this up. Who was it? It was Rhonda. There we go. So Rhonda told me that I could share this, and Rhonda has it's a Barletta. I'm not sure what the model is, but let's see. I'll show you this. I'm gonna try to keep her name out of it, but so this is her boat. I got this email the other day. Let's see if I can do this here. There we go. So this is the boat, and then this is the email that she sent me. Picked her up today. Got to pull her up on the dock. Nailed it first try. A boat salesman started laughing and said, in his 40 years, he'd never seen someone who's never driven a boat before drive it in perfectly first try. And I yelled out, this made me, I love this. Best pontoon boat captain on the lake by Captain Matt. I highly recommend it. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. So that's a message that she sent in that she sent in, and she told me she had watched it a couple times because we had some issues um getting her into the program. I don't know what it was, some tech issues, but it's the best boat captain on the water training, the pontoon version or the single engine bow rider version or V-Haul version. I'm super, super proud of them. Have already helped a ton of people. I just released them right at Memorial Day. Yeah, Memorial Day of 2021. So they haven't been out very long. And so it's thank you, Tony. I appreciate that in my long-winded, and you get that at boatbuyersecretweapon.com/captain, and then you just choose the version that you want. So it is it's a program that man, if you are struggling, if you don't have 100% confidence in handling your boat, this program it's going to make a huge difference in your ability to handle the boat, because I take you through the same thing that I took through my first time boat owner clients when I sold boats. I would go out and for 2 to 4 hours I would spend with them. And so I got really good at knowing how to teach the stuff. And all I did was I just went on a boat and went through the same process from, hey, here's the throttle, here's the trim, here's how you start your boat, all the way up to, hey, now we're going to spin it around in its circle, in the radius of the boat. So if you've got a 24-foot or 23-foot Barletta pontoon, we're going to spin that puppy in about 24 feet of length. And by the time we get done in that couple of hours time, you're going to be there. I walk you through the same thing. Tony, I'm curious if you've been out on the water and if you like how much time you spent on the actual practicing it, and you can put it on your smartphone. I don't know where my phone is, but you can put it on your smartphone if you've got 5G coverage. You can just watch it on your phone and say, okay, Matt said this. Boom, I'm going to try it, and you really get to know your boat. So, all right, that's enough of that. Let's get back to some questions. Okay, so your build date goes in December 13th. So that's awesome. All right. So what else we got? We got other questions that are out there. We've been pretty consistent, 15 to 20 some. So I was up. Yes, I was up the other day and I helped my buddy. Um, my buddy winterize his chaparral, and yeah, we're done for the season here. So I like to do the boat parades. Michael, I think if you have a boat parade in your area, it's worth doing at least once, if not multiple times. But unfortunately, we're going to be out of, or my wife and two girls are going to be out of town for the boat parade. They're going to be going up to New York City for a little Christmas travel fun, seeing the Rockettes and all the stuff that comes with it, Macy's and all that. So yeah, it's hung up, and like I said, I helped my buddy winterize his. I helped him buy his boat. What was it? February, March of last year is when they finalized it, and he we ended up he brought lunch out, Max Speed Shop, a local barbecue place here at Charlotte, and the boat died. There was a loose wire connection. We ended up spending the whole day fixing the boat and getting it winterized. So anyway, all right, let's see here. Couple of hours, lots of crosswind. Yeah, that's hey. Once you get comfortable handling the boat, then it's a matter of, okay, now I know what the boat does, and now I've got to be able to account for current or wind, the crosswind, especially if you've got a slip where that crosswind's going to get you. Then it's just working on the timing and the control in combination with the elements. But once you know how that boat works, it makes everything else so much easier. So awesome. Glad that you got a lot of value and are working it and practicing. Any more experience on the box anchors? I haven't. Hey Bert, I haven't done a test on it yet, but I've talked to enough people now, specifically Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips? Yeah, I think that's his Mark down in Texas. He kind of converted me on it because he talked me through it in our podcast, and he said, "Listen, I just couldn't get that Danforth, the fluke style anchor that it kind of looks like this with the two forks that go in." Said I just couldn't get it to bite in my lake, and I was using 5, 6, 7 times the depth of the water. I had the chain, I had it rigged right, and it still wasn't holding. I got the box anchor, and it holds like nothing else. So even though I haven't personally tested it yet, I've talked to enough people and heard enough that I am I've been converted, I think. And yeah, here's Michael. Um, Rivers will never go back to anything else. And I hear that often enough that I'm like, okay, I'm wrong. I'm wrong on being a Danforth guy is going to get through 95% of it. I haven't changed it in. There's an anchoring section in an add-on to the Best Boat Captain on the Water. I call it the Boating Fun Amplifier Toolbox. And yeah, so we got that. We've got Tony. He's a box anchor guy. Um, Michael is a box anchor guy, and so I need to re-record the video with the Danforth and with the box anchor because you don't need as much anchor road. You don't need as much depth with the box anchor, from what I understand. And I'll probably do that. I've got to record some videos out on the water to do a few other things. And so I'll probably, when I do all that, I'll reshoot the anchoring video for the boating amplifier toolkit and update that. and retract my, hey, a Danforth's going to get you through in 95% if you just do it right. Because in my bottoms, it works great, which is kind of a mud, a thick, heavy clay mud, and it works awesome. But in some of the other environments, and I'm hearing for, like Michael says, ICW lakes and rivers, it's holding there. So doesn't matter if it's kind of a slimy bottom like they have in some areas. Doesn't matter if it's grassy. I'm hearing great things. So um, yeah, hey, listen, I've got a few podcasts scheduled, but if there's anybody that would like to have a in-depth conversation and record it for the podcast, I would be happy to have you guys join me on a podcast episode, do an interview, and we can do audio only. We can do a video, a Zoom video chat, and record both audio and video, and just talk through your specific situation. I oftentimes on the channel, I'll get questions of, hey, I just got one that I responded to before I started, is what 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 is okay. I was sorry, I was just reading the comment here that threw me. Um, what's the best 21-foot boat for freshwater and saltwater fishing? Like, that's better. That's some detail. Or under 50,000, the best under 50,000 22-foot saltwater freshwater fishing boat. I'm like, that's pretty good information, but there's still more I need to know. And having a conversation on the podcast is valuable. Um, hey, Pam, where else? So Pam, this is on YouTube. It's where most of my audience watches me is on the YouTube videos. If you just type in Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon on YouTube, you'll find the live, and you should be able to join there. Um, yeah, so I try to put them up when I'm talking about it, and throughout the time, I'll probably put all of them up. But if you just want to see the whole thread of comments, go to YouTube, put in Boat Buyer Secret Weapon, and it will show up there. So um, it'll look like this right here: live Q&A with Captain Matt, Boat Buyer Secret Weapon, with today's date and time. And that'll get you there. And that's also 237 videos now, 24,300 some subscribers, and that's where most of my content lives. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to get branch into Facebook and find people that may not have access to YouTube or may not do that much, and um, get them the information that I think will be valuable if they're looking to get into boating, or into boating, and just looking to get better. So, all right. We're at a half hour now. If you have any questions, go ahead and just put them in the chat, and I would be happy to dive into them. So I'll finish the story with my buddy. So we were out, and he's like, hey, he sent me a text. He said, hey, let's go on the water. It's going to be 70 degrees on Friday. Yes, like, share, and subscribe for sure. He said, okay, here we go. Captain Matt, on a different subject, I was wanting to ask TKS carburetors. Mark, the Mercury TKSs are, I'm assuming, are you talking about the 3.0 or the 4.3? If you're talking the Merc Cruiser, are you, I'm trying to think if the Mercury's they call the TKS, the turnkey start. Let me know specifically which one you're asking about, because if it's the Mercury outboards, I don't know much about them. Okay, the 4.3. All right, so it's an engine. What year? Those were the TKS carburetors were. You found them in I sold Sea Ray, so the 175s had the 3.0. The 180s had the 3.0 TKS, and the 4.3 TKS 2011. It's a solid engine. It's if you're looking at a 2011 4.3 liter Mercruiser TKS. Um, here's what you need to think about is the engine's rock solid. They produce thousands of those, and they produced them for a long period of time before 2011. So it's a proven technology. It's a proven power plant. The turnkey start is, yeah, it's not fuel injected, and it's not that quick and that computerized. You do have a carburetor, which you really got to be cautious about making sure you use straight gasoline, avoiding the ethanol. You've got to make sure that you're fogging it when you put it away from the winter. If you're putting it away, if you let fuel sit in there for long periods of time, it can kind of gum up and gook up the carburetor and all those fine pieces and things in there. But as far as reliability, it's a great engine. With that said, a 2011 is 10 years old. What's more important than what type of engine it is how well has it been maintained? How have they used it? Where have they used it? What kind of maintenance did they do on it? So couple of things that I would encourage you to do is make sure you do a sea trial. Run that engine, because that will kind of show some signs of issues. Told me my new to me boat has a junk motor in it. Okay. I don't the Now he could be right, but it's not about it being, in my mind, it's not about being a 4.3 TKS. It could be about the way it was maintained, could be about how, what the maintenance was like before it. But for me, I was selling boats in that time, and I sold a ton of 185s and some used 195s that had that in it. Of the 175s usually had the 3.0. I never had a single person complain about it. And I was at a marina where they came out and they used their boat, and they stopped by my desk and said, "Hey," the kids stopped by and said, "Hey," on their way out to their boat. And trust me, if there was an issue, I heard about it. So, um, it would be a question of, is there something about that particular motor that he's talking about it? So, as far as I know, Mark, I'm not concerned about that motor specifically, but I would ask him more specifically, what is it that's has you saying that? Um, so, and yeah, it certainly could, Michael. It certainly could be that, is that maybe he's a Volvo guy. If you're running in saltwater, Mark, I don't know where you are for sure, but if you're running in saltwater, he has a bias against. Um, Guy told me you don't have problems, you will. I disagree with that 100%. Um, Yeah, I don't know why he would say that, especially if he's a Mercury guy. Um, especially if he's a Mercury guy, I just, yeah, I don't know. I would have to talk to the guy and see what he's saying. Um, Maybe that was around the time they started putting catalytic converters in, but that was 2010. They had, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if what specifically his concern would be and why he would say that. Um, so watched your video a few days ago, whether owning a boat's right for you. Good info. Came away knowing my wife and I are definitely going to buy. That's awesome. Yeah, that I do that video because I know a lot. There are some people that shouldn't buy boats, and I get emails from them from time to time saying, "Hey, you know, I watched this video and I decided not to buy a boat," and that's great, because you can put that money towards whatever fun money activity that is going to be right for you. I personally, I love boating, as I say in that video, and it's, it's been a part of my life for over 40 years from when I was 5 years old. My girls, before they were 6 months old, both of them were in a life jacket on the water. And it's awesome for us, but it's not for everybody. And I'm glad that that solidified it for you guys, Corey. Now, go check out the other 200 plus videos that are on the channel, and make sure that when you do make your investment, that you make the smartest one possible, so that you can also say life truly is better on a boat because you got the right one. Do the new outboards have as many issues with standard fuel from gas station as older? Um, yeah, they're better. There was a period where they were really, really um, susceptible to issues with the ethanol. I mean, they were really, really finicky. They've gotten better, but they all still run better, will last longer, will have fewer issues if you put in straight gasoline. So the way I look at it with fuel is, yes, it's more expensive, but eventually you're going to have a repair issue because you used ethanol. And here's why, Bert, is the fuel system on a boat. There's an awesome video that Aaron at Born Again Boating has done on ethanol and why it's so bad for boats. And it has to do with the ability for ethanol to suck in moisture. It has to do with the way boats are run, where you don't run a tank through every week. In my truck, I don't drive much at all. I work from home. My girls' school are within 10 minutes of the house. Dance is within 15 minutes of the house. I don't put a ton of miles on my truck unless I'm traveling for work. And but I still, within 2 weeks, I run through a tank of fuel guaranteed. In a boat, you just don't do that. It sits for longer periods of time. It sits usually in a humid environment, if not on the water. And the way a boat's fuel system is, it's a vented fuel system, which means it's not a closed system like in your car. There's no way, other than if you take the cap off, for air to get in to your fuel system in your vehicle with that cap on tight. In a boat, it's got a little vent on the side, a little vent hole that is designed to allow it to breathe so that it can expand and contract and not cause issues. Well, that also allows air to get in there. If it's humid air, now you've got moisture in. That ethanol is like a sponge to moisture. It wants to, that 10% of the fuel that's ethanol wants to suck that water in. Now you got water in your fuel. If you let it sit for long periods of time, it can phase separate, which means that the 10% ethanol can separate the ethyl alcohol and the whatever the other part is, and it will separate. And now, instead of having ethanol, which can be burned in your fuel tank or your engine, it's now separated into two components, and it can never be mixed back in your tank. So now you've got those issues. So in addition to the water, in addition to it eating the fuel lines, that's the issue that the newer engines have addressed a little bit better, is that the fuel lines and the internal components aren't getting eaten up as quickly or as easily, but still is a problem. So spend the money on the fuel now and have less issues. Save the money on fuel, spend the money on repairs eventually. And again, but if you're, commercial guys will say, hey, I do it and we don't have any problem. But again, they're running through a tank, every 2 days. And so if you use it quickly, it's not as big a deal because that water doesn't have a chance to come in. You're running it through the system. It's just getting burned up. You don't have the phase separation possibility because that can take, a month or two or three or four or five. And it doesn't have time to absorb the water and to get water in your fuel. So slide anchor, no lead. Yeah. So you're exactly right, Tony. And again, I need to get on that to update. looking to buy a, let me see if there's, okay, cool. Looking to buy a Sweetwater third sport tube, 115, family of 3, wanting to tube. Okay. So Greg, here, if you watch any of my pontoon videos when I'm talking about speeds, um, for me, if you're, and this isn't just opinion, this is me running these combination of boats and motors, and it's also advice from the owner of the dealership that I worked at when I was talking to him about it, that has started in the business when he was 10 years old building docks when his dad started the company, and he just retired a couple weeks ago. I went to his retirement party, and he's got had 6 locations, and he knows his stuff. He's an honest guy, and this is how he bought millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of pontoons. And then he talked me through it, and then I also experienced it firsthand. If you're going to invest in the third tube, you're going to get the most performance with the 150, a 150. If you're trying to save the money, the 115 with a double tube and lifting strakes is going to give you good performance. But if you put the 150 on it, you're not going to get the full value of the horsepower of that 150, because of the extra weight, the non-extra buoyancy from just the 2 tubes, and you're going to put money into horsepower that you're not going to get the benefit of. On the flip side, if you put the 115 on a tri-tune, um, you're not going to get as big of a lift in horsepower or is in performance as you would if you put the 150 on that sport tube tri-tune with lifting strakes. So for me, the only time I would stick with the 115 is if it was a hard budget, like we just can't do it. Um, but I think you're going to be disappointed with the performance because the lift, the 115 from the double tube to the tri-tune is going to be minimal. If you step up to the 150, there's going to be a significant boost. And it also helps when you're putting that extra weight on the boat. Is that third tube is going to keep that boat further out of the water, and you're going to have a better experience overall. So for me, it's 115 pontoon, 150 tri-tune, unless I'm putting a lot of weight on the boat and I need that extra buoyancy and my budget just doesn't allow me to go up to the 150. I need that buoyancy to keep the boat further out of the water with that extra weight on, but I need to keep my budget down with the 115, the 115 horsepower. So that's my take on it, and why my take is that. And Jeff, it was he's run thousands and thousands of more boats than I have ever thought about running, and we'll go to dealer meetings where the manufacturer will bring all the dealers in where they sell their new product, and they'll put each combination of different boats. And this is a guy that he would buy 200 pontoons a year, and a majority of them were either a tri-tune with the 150 or a much bigger engine. But I would say probably 100 of them were tri-tunes with 150s, and if you did a non-tri-tune, the biggest you would put on it would be a 115. So hopefully that helps. Likely 4 to 8 people most of the time. Yeah, I think, Greg, you'll be much happier if you step up to the 150 if your budget allows it. Yeah, Mark, I'm glad. I'm glad that that gives you a little bit more comfort, especially if the boat's running great right now. I think you're in good shape. Yes, Tony, that's the part. That's the part of the box anchor that I was against. Is, hey, that takes up a ton of space. But with the folding, the way it was explained to me is you kind of pull a pin and they fold up, and now it's probably easier to store than the Danforth, especially on a pontoon, on a bow rider or a deck boat or a center console with with the bow anchor locker. It's just not designed for that shape. But on a pontoon, for sure, it's easier to store. Greg also looked at the same boat. I decided on the Harris we just ordered, went with the 150 for as weather picks up, extra people on the boat. Yep, exactly right. And that's why I say in the long run, I think you'll be happier you spent that extra. I mean, what is it now? $4,000. If you're doing the tri-tune already, if you're putting that sport tube on, probably 4 or 5 grand to go from the 115 to the 150. Let's see. I don't know. I got when I was down at IBEX, I talked to the Honda Marine guy, and he gave me their pig. It's called a pig, a product information guide, but it's got all of the stats on it. I don't know if they've got pricing in here. Yeah, they don't. But I'll say, Bert, I would do it. I have done it. But you got to come here to the Charlotte area. I don't know where you are for sure, but I really enjoy getting on the water and training folks. It's a lot of fun for me. I've charged like $400 for 3 or 4 hours, but one, I don't have as much time as I used to as I'm doing more and more of this stuff. But two is not everybody lives close to us. Where it's feasible. But I'll tell you, my program is awesome. But if you can find a local captain that is good at training new boaters, some of them are good, some of them aren't. But if you can find a good one that has a good reputation, that's better than my program. Is getting a local person that knows how to train new boaters, because not only can he train what I share, probably doesn't use my process, um, which is I think hands down probably the best way to train new boaters, because it takes you step by step through and you understand why you're doing things. And I think I'm a pretty good teacher, but having a local person that can do something similar, and tell you about the local water, what you need to know, what you need to be aware of. Hey, look out for this point. Hey, look out in September, they drop the level of the water, or there's currents that come. Um, they're all good as well. That's value there. So, would you upgrade to the Sunbrella over the 8 ounce? You know, I don't know. I would say in Charleston, if you're keeping the boat, it would probably, to me, depend more on where you're keeping the boat. It's going to last a little bit longer with that heavier duty, the 9 ounce. But if you're keeping the boat indoors, or you're keeping it covered and that sun's not going to beat down on it all the time, I don't see the value of that upgrade. Um, if you're having it custom made, um, has a longer fabric, yeah, um, a year longer fabric warranty. I I don't know. I don't think it would be worth it for you if you're keeping the boat stored somewhere where the sun's just not going to be beaten down. I'm assuming it's on your bimini. Maybe it's on the whole cover, for your sportsman, but I don't think it's necessary. Um, why the Harris over the um, Gray? I'll let Bert. I think you're going to answer that. Um, Cost cheaper. The other thing, Greg, that I would throw out there, and again, I talk about it in almost all my videos, is there's not going to be the Harris Cruiser, and the I don't know for sure about the Sweetwater, the SBX. I don't know where that, just off the top of my head, where it lies in the premium to value level. But think about the dealer that's going to support you. um that is, once you fall in the right category and you get the right layout, and you've got it narrowed down to the couple brands that fit your budget, the layout, the quality level, all that, then the dealer should be the tiebreaker in my mind, and the dealer and the deal that they give you, right? Because that budget comes into it. Because a great dealer with a good brand, you're going to be happier than the a poor dealer with a better brand, if that makes sense. Because the dealer is the one that's going to handle any warranty issues, and even the best brand is going to have some warranty issues come up. A good dealer is going to find as many of them as they can before they deliver you the boat. They're going to take care of them quickly when they do come up. They're going to be easy to work with. They're going to be there for you and provide services that that you may not get from a poor dealer. So I'll throw that in there, Greg, for you to think about over just making the decision on the brand. Consider that local dealer that you're going to work with, because that's important as well. Um, Charleston in June. Yeah, I'm in just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Lake Wiley, Lake Norman is where we do our boating here. We're in the Carolinas, but we also my in-laws have a place in Tennessee. My family has a place at the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. So usually we spend several times in Tennessee, and once a year at the Ozarks nowadays. It used to be Ozarks was the place that we would go quite a bit more. But Charleston's beautiful. I love Charleston. It's in my backyard right now. I might build a building down the line. Yeah, if you can, Brock, if it makes sense and you can store it under cover, get it out of that harsh sunlight that you have down there in Charleston. I think you'll be happy. It'll keep it in better condition, but um, yeah, but I had a guy that was on the podcast, Rod. He put his pontoon and got one of those structures, and he backs it in there with his little lawn tractor, and he loves it because it keeps it out of the sun, keeps it out of the rain, keeps it out of the elements, and it'll keep the boat looking nicer. And that's on aluminum. With your fiberglass, the more you can keep that sun off it and the weather off it, the less oxidation, the less the environment will impact. Yeah, that that's rough when you don't have a home for your second boat. All right, guys, we're coming up on an hour here. If you've got hey, I really enjoy Brock and Michael. I really enjoy seeing you guys over and over, and just having some fun banter back and forth. Tony, it just it's a lot of fun to come across the same folks over. And I know we've never met in person, but it's like I'm just kind of bullshitting with my friends here. So I enjoy that. Should do a podcast. Listeners who purchased a boat. Seems like many of the viewers have questions about boats. Best for me. Maybe get some people with different types of boats. Hey, I would love that. Well, you know what I need to do is maybe I will. I'll send an email out to my list of folks that have invested in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy, or even just requested the free toolkit that we have. The 25-page toolkit that's just packed with checklists and great information, and see if they would be willing to join me, because there is a lot of research that has been done deeper than I've ever done. As you start going down the path of, this is what I'm looking at, this is my budget. There's research that you guys do that probably well surpasses what I know about a particular boat, a particular model, and for particular reasons. So, Bert, you're very welcome. I've really come to enjoy this. Although my daughter, whose bed and headboard is right on the other side of my my green screen here, that if you I've got my green screen there, which I use for other types of videos. She doesn't appreciate my Sunday night lives because she says it keeps her awake. But I really find them entertaining and fun. Um, why they purchase? Okay, yeah, that's great. The good, bad, and the ugly of what they did, and wash hands. I'm not sure I get that one, Michael. But anyway, I think we'll wrap it up. I want to see what Michael's response is. Captain would be happy to help other new purchasers done different try tunes before getting a Harris. All right, so um, boat buyers secret weapon.com/guest. So Bert, if you go to this website, boat buyers secret weapon.com/guest, you can just fill out the form there, put in your name and information, and what will happen is it'll shoot me an email. It'll say, "Hey, somebody's interested in being on the podcast," and then it on some machines it'll pop up my calendar. If it doesn't pop up and you don't schedule a time, I'll send you a link to my online calendar, and you just pick a window that works for you, and then you'll get emailed all the information and everything. So that was supposed to be clapping hands. That's why I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was like, wash hands. What the hell? Uh, so anyway, if you want to, um, if you want to do that, Bert, that would be awesome. I think, I think that is valuable conversations to think somebody that's recently gone through it, that's new and what they've thought about, what they came across. I talked to one of mine, Michael. Hop on, do that same thing. Go to that website and just fill out the form. And then if the calendar pops up, just select a time. If it doesn't, I'll email you the link to the calendar so that you can just pick a time, and it'll all my stuff is in there, so it blocks out the dates and times I'm not available. And those conversations are so valuable for people. It seems I've done. Let's see. I think Rod was a pontoon buyer. I think he got his was a Harris up in outside Raleigh, I think. And Brock, that same thing. It's I would love to do these conversations. I don't push too much to get guests. I kind of just if they come in, great. I have the conversations on for the podcast, but because I only get maybe 500 downloads or so per podcast episode versus spending my time on a video where that gets out to you know at a minimum 10,000 people, and we've got one video that's creeping on a million, which is insane to me. But yeah, and I like talking about the different environments too, the pontoons, the jet boats, the center consoles, because there's certain things that I don't think about that you guys have discovered in your search that I'm like, oh crap, yeah, that's a great point. I would have never thought to share that, but so definitely sign up, and I would love to do it. So thank you guys very much for joining me, and I will do it again. We are going up to West Virginia for Thanksgiving, but we will be back on Sunday night. So I'll do one. I'll do one Sunday after Thanksgiving, and we'll see you guys all then. So thanks a lot. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time. Remember, life truly is better on a boat.